Be still. I ask you to be still, not because life is waiting for you to catch up, but because truth arrives quietly and hurried minds always miss it. There is a specific posture you were born to carry in this world. I am not speaking of the physical posture of your body or how you hold your shoulders when you walk into a room, though that will eventually reflect what I am about to tell you. I am speaking of a posture of being. This posture exists before effort. It exists before achievement. It exists before you have a single shred of physical evidence to prove your worth. You were meant to stand a certain way in consciousness. Most of the frustration you have felt in your life up to this moment does not come from failure. It comes from living beneath your rightful position. You have been walking through life apologizing for your desires, shrinking your ambition to fit the comfort zones of others, and waiting for the world to give you permission to be great. But from the beginning, the ancient texts and the laws of the universe did not describe you as fragile, accidental, or unfinished. They described you as the image and likeness of the Creator. They described you as having dominion, not dominion someday when you have earned it through blood and sweat, but dominion now. Yet dominion has been terribly misunderstood by the modern world. You have been taught that dominion is force. You have been taught that to win, you must fight, struggle, and wrestle your way to the top. But true dominion is not force, it is alignment. To act like you were meant to win is not arrogance, it is remembrance. It is the act of remembering who you actually are. Winning in its truest spiritual sense is not about defeating others. It is about no longer fighting yourself. The world has trained you to wait. You wait for permission from circumstances. You wait for the economy to improve before you start the business. You wait for someone to love you before you feel lovable. You wait for the money to appear before you feel secure. You are living in a state of constant reaction, begging the mirror of life to smile at you first. But the law of consciousness demands that you smile first before the reflection can respond. Look at the great masters of history. When they walked, they did not apologize for the space they occupied. When they spoke, they did not speculate or hope they were right. They spoke from identity, and identity precedes the outcome every single time. This is the secret that few are taught and many sense but cannot name. Life does not reward effort alone. You can work 18 hours a day and still remain in a state of lack. If your inner posture is one of a beggar, life responds to assumption. It does not respond to the assumptions you declare publicly on social media to impress your friends. It responds to the assumptions you carry silently in the deep, quiet chambers of your soul when no one is watching. Your inner posture tells reality how to behave around you. If inwardly you brace for loss, life introduces resistance to match your expectation. If inwardly you expect struggle, believing that life is hard and success must be painful, life will supply you with endless obstacles to prove you right. But if inwardly you assume victory, life rearranges itself to confirm it. This is not mysticism detached from reality. It is reality governed by law. Science is now beginning to echo what the mystics have known for thousands of years. The observation collapses the potential into form. The expectation alters the outcome. The mind is not a passive camera taking pictures of the world. It is a projector creating the world. Scripture said it first without apology. According to your faith, be it unto you. It did not say according to your education, your family background, your past mistakes, or your bank account. It said according to your faith. And faith here is not blind hope. Faith is the assumption of identity. To act like you were meant to win is to stop negotiating with life from the posture of someone who expects to lose. Lost consciousness is subtle. It sounds like realism. It disguises itself as caution. It wears the mask of humility. But true humility was never meant to deny your inheritance. Humility was meant to remove the ego, not the authority. True humility knows where the power comes from and does not misuse it, but it also does not deny it. So let us be precise about what this means for you today. Acting like you were meant to win does not mean pretending everything is perfect when it is not. It means refusing to let the imperfection define you. It means you stop interpreting temporary resistance as a permanent identity. The winner's posture is grounded. It does not rush. It does not over-explain. It does not panic when appearances shift, because it understands the sequence of creation. The sequence is always state first and evidence second. Most people reverse this. They wait for the evidence to change so they can change their state. But the law does not respond to reaction. It responds to position. Position is chosen internally, long before results arrive. This is why the stories tell of the master sleeping in the storm. It was not because the storm was harmless. It was because the storm did not outrank him in his own consciousness. The storm was loud, but his authority was quiet. Quiet authority always wins. Now understand this deep truth. You do not act like you were meant to win after you succeed. You act like you were meant to win so that success has somewhere to land. Success cannot rest in insecurity. It slips through it. Opportunity avoids desperation. It aligns with readiness. Readiness is not just confidence. It is an internal agreement. Agreement with what you might ask. Agreement that you are not an accident. Agreement that your life has direction. Agreement that effort is not your source, but alignment is. When you act like you were meant to win, you stop shrinking your expectations to match your past disappointments. Past disappointment is not prophecy. It is residual. It is the smoke left over from a fire that has already burned out. Residue has no creative power. Creation is always in the eternal now. So now you stand differently, not just physically, but inwardly. Your inner conversation changes tone. You stop saying, "I hope this works," and begin saying, "I will handle this." You stop asking, "What if it fails?" and begin assuming, "I will adjust." This is not denial of reality. It is authority over reality. Authority does not guarantee ease. It guarantees movement, and movement creates momentum. Momentum carries you through moments that effort could not. This is why winners do not obsess over motivation. They maintain posture. Posture says, "Even here I stand." Even when tired, even when uncertain, even when the path is unclear, they do not collapse inwardly. Collapse is agreement with defeat. Standing is agreement with victory. Victory is not an event. It is a state maintained until evidence complies. This is why you are instructed to stand, not fight, not panic, but stand. Standing is spiritual physics. It signals to the subconscious mind that retreat is not an option. And the subconscious mind, once convinced, reorganizes perception, behavior, and opportunity. You notice different doors. You choose different responses. You speak differently without rehearsing. Not because you forced positivity, but because your inner orientation changed. Now let this deepen. Acting like you were meant to win also means you stop borrowing identity from comparison. Comparison is lost consciousness disguised as measurement. You do not need to outrun anyone. You do not need to prove superiority. You do not need to announce your progress to the world. You need to stay aligned with your own lane. Alignment beats competition every time. Competition says there is not enough. Alignment says there is infinite order. Order is divine intelligence expressed without strain. When you trust order, you stop forcing outcomes. When you stop forcing, you see timing clearly. When you see timing clearly, you move effectively. This is how ease enters your life. Ease is not laziness. Ease is resistance removed. And resistance was never external. It was internal doubt projected outward. Now hear this clearly and let it settle into your bones. You are allowed to expect good outcomes. Expectation is not entitlement. It is identity recognizing itself. If a seed expects to become a tree, it is not arrogant. It is obedient to its design. You were designed to expand, to overcome, to bear fruit. So stop acting surprised by your own potential. Act like you were meant to win. This means you stop rehearsing failure internally. You stop narrating worst-case scenarios. You stop identifying with struggle as if it were a virtue. Struggle may visit you, but it is not your home. Your home is confidence in divine law. Now the middle of this teaching sharpens. Acting like you were meant to win requires discipline, not the discipline of action, but the discipline of attention. What you repeatedly focus on trains your nervous system. A nervous system trained on threat creates hesitation. A nervous system trained on trust creates clarity. So you begin to practice inner stillness, not as an escape, but as a calibration. In stillness, you remember who leads. Fear is loud, authority is quiet. So when fear speaks, you do not debate it. You do not suppress it. You simply do not follow it. You follow identity. Identity says, I will not collapse here. Identity says, this does not define me. Identity says, I move forward wisely. This wisdom is not dramatic, it is precise. And precision wins more than intensity ever could. This is why the conscious life is not frantic, it is deliberate. Deliberate speech, deliberate choices. Deliberate rest. Rest is not stopping. Rest is refusing to operate from fear. From rest, insight flows. From insight, right action emerges. From right action, results follow. This is the sequence, not reversed. So stop demanding results to justify your posture. Let your posture generate results. Act like you were meant to win means you treat obstacles as instructions, not insults. Insults personalize resistance. Instructions refine direction. Every delay asks you, where do you need to adjust? Every challenge asks you, where do you need to grow? And growth is not punishment, it is preparation. Preparation for what you might ask. For holding what is coming without losing yourself. Many pray for more, but are not internally prepared to receive it without fear. Fear leaks blessing. So preparation is mercy. You are being shaped for sustainability. Now notice how calm this feels. Winning in truth is calm. It does not spike your emotions. It studies them. It feels like grounded certainty, not excitement. Excitement burns quickly. Certainty endures. So let certainty become your companion. Walk into rooms without shrinking. Speak without over-explaining. Decide without panic. Not because you know everything, but because you trust alignment. Trust says, I will be guided. Trust says, I am supported. Trust says, I do not walk alone. This is not abstract faith. This is live faith. Faith that shows up as posture. Posture that says, I belong here because I exist. You belong in peace. You belong in progress. You belong in victory. Not victory over others. Victory over the version of yourself that once doubted your right to stand. Now let the tone begin to soften. The work is not to become someone new. The work is to stop abandoning who you already are. Return to this posture daily, not with force, but with familiarity. When you forget, return gently. When fear rises, return quietly. When doubt whispers, return firmly. Return to the knowing that you were designed to overcome. And as you live from this place, the outer world will respond with confirmation. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because when identity is correct, outcome has no choice. Now rest here. Act like you were meant to win because you were. And nothing in this world has the authority to contradict that truth unless you give it permission. Be still. Let alignment do its work. It always does. Consider the difference between the beggar and the king. I am not speaking of financial status, for there are rich beggars and poor kings. I am speaking of the attitude of the soul. The beggar mentality looks at life and asks, what can I get? Or worse, will there be enough for me? The beggar waits for a handout from fate. The beggar believes that power is outside of himself, in the hands of the boss, the government, the market, or the partner. The beggar is always auditioning for a role in his own life, hoping someone will choose him. But the king does not audition. The king assumes the role by birthright. The king mentality looks at life and asks, how shall I express myself today? The king knows that his supply comes from his own inner kingdom, the kingdom of imagination. He does not beg for respect, he commands it by his very presence. He does not beg for love, he radiates it and thus draws it to him. The shift from beggar to king is the most important shift you will ever make. It is a shift from seeking to expressing. It is a shift from waiting to being. You have been playing the beggar for too long. You have been asking life for permission to be happy, permission to be wealthy, permission to be free, and life has been waiting for you to stop asking and start declaring. The world treats you exactly as you treat yourself. If you treat yourself as an option, the world will treat you as an option. If you treat yourself as a priority, the world will treat you as a priority. This is the hard truth that liberates. No one is coming to save you because you do not need saving. You need awakening. You need to wake up to the fact that the crown has always been waiting for you to pick it up and place it on your own head. This brings us to the core of the teaching, which is faith. Faith has been distorted by religion to mean blind loyalty to a distant deity. But in the science of the mind, faith is the loyalty to an unseen reality. Faith is assumption. Life responds to assumption. This is the mechanical nature of the universe. It is impersonal and fair. It does not care if you assume good or evil. It will objectify whatever you assume with feeling. If you assume you are sickly, it will produce health issues. If you assume you are unwanted, it will produce rejection. If you assume you are prosperous, it will produce wealth. The law is a mold, and you are the molten gold poured into it. Your assumption is the shape you choose. Why do you assume the worst? Why do you use this divine power against yourself? It is only a habit of mind passed down from generations of people who did not know who they were. But you know, you are beginning to know. Faith is the courage to stand in the state of the wish fulfilled even when the senses deny it. The senses are limited. They only report what has already happened. They cannot report what is coming. Only imagination can see what is coming. Only assumption can bring it forth. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are effectively operating a higher law that supersedes the laws of luck and chance. You are stepping out of the stream of chaos and into the stream of creation. So I invite you now to make a covenant with yourself, a promise that you will no longer act as the victim of your history. You will act as the architect of your future. You will walk with the posture of one who knows the end, and the end is always victory. The end is always the fulfillment of the divine pattern within you. Do not let the noise of the world shake you from this standing. The world makes noise to distract you. Your soul makes silence to direct you. Listen to the silence. Stand in the silence. And act like you were meant to win. Because in the eyes of the infinite, you already have. Now we descend from the general posture of consciousness into the specific engine that drives it. If your posture is the vessel, your inner conversation is the fuel. We must be precise here, because this is where most people lose their way. You can stand tall in the world, you can dress the part, you can say all the right words to your neighbors, but if your inner speech contradicts your outer action, you will fail. The universe eavesdrops on your inner speech. It does not care about the public announcements you make. It cares about the private whispers you entertain when you are alone. Inner speech creates reality. It is the unceasing vibration that permeates your world. Most of us are totally unaware of what we are saying to ourselves. We carry on mental arguments with people who are not there. We justify our failures to imaginary juries. We rehearse conversations that have not happened, usually assuming a conflict or a defense. And every time we do this, we are writing the script for tomorrow. Everything you see in your life today is a solidified form of a conversation you held within yourself yesterday or yesteryear. The world is nothing more than your inner conversations pushed out and frozen in time. If you want to change the world, you must stop the inner argument. You must stop the inner defense. You must begin to talk to yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as the master of your fate. Inner speech is the cause. Outer action is the effect. If you change the cause, the effect must change. It has no choice. This is why you can work hard physically, but if you are mentally complaining, you remain stuck. The complaint is the creative act. The hard work is just movement. To change your inner speech is to change your future. It requires a mental diet. Just as you would not eat poison if you wanted a healthy body, you should not consume or generate poisonous thoughts if you want a healthy life. Watch your reactions. When you receive bad news, what is the first thing you say internally? Do you say, "I knew it would happen"? Do you say, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or do you pause and say, "This is nothing to me, for I am the operant power"? The difference between those internal sentences is the difference between slavery and freedom. You must begin to construct inner conversations that imply the fulfillment of your desire. Hear your friends congratulating you. Hear your own voice accepting the praise with humility and gratitude. Hear the sounds of your new life. If you want a new job, hear the words, "You are hired," ringing in your mind until they feel natural. If you want health, hear the doctor saying, "It is a miracle," until it feels true. This is not madness. This is the highest form of sanity. It is the conscious use of the greatest tool you possess. Your inner speech is the bridge between the spiritual and the physical. Do not let it run wild like a neglected garden. Prune it, guide it, direct it. Speak only that which you would be willing to realize in 3D. If you are not willing to see it happen, do not say it within. This leads us directly to the law of reversibility. This is a principle that governs all mechanics, and it governs your mind as well. In the physical world, if a mechanical motion A produces a mechanical motion B, then the reverse is also true. If you reverse the process and cause motion B to happen, motion A will be produced. Let us apply this to your life. If you realized your desire, let us call that event A. It would produce a specific feeling in you. Let us call that feeling B. Perhaps it is a feeling of relief, of security, of joy. The world tells you that you must wait for A, the event, to get B, the feeling. But the law of reversibility says if you can summon B, the feeling first, if you can generate the feeling of relief and security without the event, then A, the event, must follow. This is the secret of the ages. You do not wait for the evidence to feel the feeling. You use the feeling to summon the evidence. This changes everything. It means you are not at the mercy of time. You are the master of time. You can skip the waiting room. You can go straight to the end. Do not think about it. Feel it. Wear that feeling like a suit of clothes. Walk in it, sleep in it, eat in it. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the most potent creative force in the universe. It is the signature of your new reality. When you consistently feel the feeling of the end, you are reversing the flow of cause and effect. You are telling the universe that the event has already happened in consciousness, and because the outer world is a slave to the inner world, it must rearrange itself to match your feeling. However, you must understand why this is so difficult for so many. It is because success cannot rest in insecurity. This is a spiritual physics problem. You cannot put a large amount of energy into a small container. If your internal state is small, fearful, and insecure, and you try to force a massive success into it, you will either sabotage the success or the success will destroy you. We see this all the time. People win the lottery and are bankrupt in 3 years. Why? Because their internal container was set to poverty. They had the money, but they did not have the consciousness of wealth. The money could not rest in their insecurity. It had to flee. It had to leave to find a container that matched it. Therefore, your work is not to chase the success, but to enlarge the container. You must prepare your mental house to receive the guest. You do not invite a king to a dirty house. You clean it. You prepare it. You make it worthy. In the same way, you must make your mind a worthy dwelling place for the success you desire. This means dealing with your insecurity, not by fighting it, but by displacing it. You displace insecurity by filling the space with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You cannot be insecure and grateful at the same time. You cannot be fearful and confident at the same time. Choose the latter. Build a state of consciousness that is so stable, so grounded, so expansive that when the success arrives, it feels at home. It feels natural. It feels like it belongs there. If success feels like a foreign intruder, you will lose it. It must feel like family. It must feel like you. This preparation is what I call standing in agreement. To stand in agreement is to have your conscious desire and your subconscious belief marry each other. Most people are divorced inside. Their conscious mind says, "I want wealth," but their subconscious mind says, "Money is evil," or "I am not worthy." This is a house divided against itself, and it cannot stand. To win, you must bring these two into agreement. You must woo your subconscious mind like a lover. You do not bully it, you do not force it, you persuade it. You persuade it through the gentle repetition of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You persuade it by your inner conversations which are loving and noble. You persuade it by refusing to consume the garbage of the world's fear. When your conscious and subconscious are in agreement, when your desire and your belief are one, you become unstoppable. There is no resistance. The friction disappears. You move through the world with a kind of grace that looks like magic to others. But it is not magic. It is alignment. It is the lack of internal conflict. When you stand in agreement with yourself, the world stands in agreement with you. The traffic lights seem to turn green. The right people call at the right time. The resources appear just when you need them. This is not luck. It is the externalized reflection of your internal unity. But you must be vigilant. The old man, the old self with its old conversations, will try to return. It will knock on the door of your mind and ask for a bed. It will bring its old grievances, its old pains, its old stories of victimhood. You must stand at the door of your mind like a sentinel. You must say you have no place here anymore. I have moved. I have changed my address. I now live in the state of the wish fulfilled. This takes firmness. This takes what the ancients called spiritual warriorship, not fighting with others, but guarding the holy temple of your imagination. Every time you refuse to entertain a negative inner conversation, you are strengthening your new state. Every time you revise a memory from failure to success, you are rewriting your DNA. Every time you choose to feel the joy of the end before the beginning, you are defying the logic of the world and proving the logic of God. So observe your inner speech today. Listen to it. Is it the speech of a winner or a loser? Is it the speech of a king or a beggar? Is it the speech of faith or fear? Do not condemn yourself if you find it lacking. Just change it. Change the record. Put on a new song. Sing the song of your accomplished desire. Sing it until your heart believes it. Sing it until your cells vibrate with it. For the law of reversibility promises that if you can live in the song, the life that matches the song must manifest. You are the composer and the conductor of this symphony. Do not let the noise of the world drown out the music of your soul. Success is waiting for you to become the person who can hold it. The opportunity is waiting for you to prepare the room. The reality is waiting for you to speak it into existence. So speak wisely, speak lovingly, speak boldly, and let your inner conversation be the rock upon which you build your new world. For there is no other foundation, there is no other cause. There is only you and your inner speech echoing forever into the deep caverns of reality and returning to you as the life you live. Stand in this truth, stand in this agreement, and watch the salvation of your own higher self unfold before your eyes. I want to pause here for a moment because if you have listened this far, it signifies something profound about your character. Most people are content to skim the surface of life, accepting whatever scraps fall from the table of destiny, but you are still here. You are digging for the roots. You are seeking the cause. This tells me that you are ready not just to hear the truth, but to apply it. This channel is not merely for entertainment. It is a gathering place for the few who are brave enough to take full responsibility for their own reality. We are building a community of awakened minds, an army of conscious creators who refuse to live by default. If you feel a resonance with these words, if you feel a stirring in your chest that says yes to this new way of being, then I invite you to subscribe and join us. By doing so, you are not just clicking a button. You are signaling to your own subconscious that you are prioritizing this knowledge, that you are committing to the study of self-mastery, and that you are ready to stand among those who know that they are the operant power in their own world. Now, having committed ourselves to this path, we must pick up the tools. It is not enough to know the theory of the law. You must get your hands into the clay of your own mind and shape it. The first tool I place in your hands is what I call the pruning shears of revision. This is perhaps the most misunderstood yet most powerful technique for liberation. You have been taught that the past is unchangeable. You have been taught that what is done, that the ink is dry, and that you must live with the consequences of your yesterdays. I tell you that this is a lie that keeps you enslaved to a cycle of repetition. The past is not fixed in stone. It is stored in memory, and memory is nothing more than a present-time act of imagination. When you remember a failure, an argument, or a disappointment, you are recreating that event in the present moment. You are breathing life into it again. You are pulling the emotions of the past into the now, and in doing so, you are planting the seeds for a future that looks exactly like the past. This is why history repeats itself in your life. You change jobs, but you meet the same tyrant boss. You change relationships, but you suffer the same heartbreak. It is because you have not pruned the vine. You have left the weeds of the past to choke the garden of your future. Revision is the act of going back into your memory and changing the script. It is the spiritual act of refusing to accept a fact that displeases you. At the end of every day, before you retire to sleep, you must play the role of the divine editor. You review the events of the day, not to judge yourself, not to wallow in regret, but to select the scenes that did not match your ideal. Perhaps you received a letter of rejection. Perhaps you spoke harsh words to a loved one. Perhaps you felt small in a meeting. Do not let that scene settle into the deep mind as a final fact. Take your imaginary shears and cut it out. Then replace it. Rewrite the scene in your imagination exactly as you wish it had occurred. This is the art of changing the timeline. You enter the memory of the rejection letter, but this time, in your imagination, you read a letter of acceptance. You feel the thrill of the news. You see the smile on your face. You hear the congratulations of your family. You replay this revised scene over and over until it feels natural, until the sting of the original event is gone and is replaced by the feeling of the victory. You might ask if you are deceiving yourself. You might ask if you are suppressing reality. I tell you that you are creating reality. By revising the past, you are changing the frequency of the signal you are sending out. You are neutralizing the negative karma of the event. You are stopping the ripple effect of failure before it can generate a wave of future trouble. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between a memory of a physical fact and a memory of an intense imaginal act. If you revise with feeling, the subconscious accepts the new version as the truth, and because it accepts it as truth, it will begin to produce a future that aligns with the acceptance. You are effectively changing your timeline. You are stepping off the track of destiny that was heading toward more lack and stepping onto a new track that leads to fulfillment. Do not go to sleep with a heavy heart. Do not let the sun go down on your anger or your disappointment. Revise it. Clean the slate. Make your day perfect in your mind before you surrender to sleep. This is how you keep your spiritual garden free of weeds. This is how you ensure that tomorrow does not simply echo the mistakes of today. To understand why this works, you must understand where you actually live. You think you live in a physical world of objects and hard facts, but that is only the screen upon which the movie is projected. You truly live in the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is the realm of imagination. It is the world of causes. The three-dimensional world is the world of effects. Most people spend their lives fighting with the screen. They try to change their circumstances by moving physical objects, by forcing people, by struggling against the reflection in the mirror. It is exhausting and it is futile. You cannot change the reflection by shouting at the mirror. You must change the face in front of it. The fourth dimension is where the face lives. It is the engine room of reality. When you close your eyes and withdraw your attention from the sensory world, you are entering the fourth dimension. In this space, you are not bound by gravity, by your bank balance, or by your social security number. You are free to be whatever you choose to be. In the fourth dimension, you can assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled instantly. There is no time lag. The moment you imagine it, it is real in that dimension. And because the fourth dimension is the parent of the third dimension, what is real there must become real here. This is the hierarchy of creation. Imagination precedes manifestation, always. The chair you are sitting on was an idea before it was a thing. The life you are living was a mood before it was a circumstance. So when you revise or when you imagine, you are doing the real work. You are operating in the causal realm. Do not let the world tell you that you are daydreaming or wasting time. You are building. You are architectural engineering in the only world that matters. The fourth dimension is the womb of the universe, and your imagination is the seed. This brings us to the most precise, the most potent, and the most necessary technique of all. It is what we call SATS, the state akin to sleep. This is the gateway to the subconscious. This is the golden hour where the conscious mind and the subconscious mind meet to exchange the blueprint of the future. You see, the subconscious mind is most receptive when the conscious mind is quiet, when the logical, analytical, doubting God at the gate is asleep. This happens naturally twice a day, just as you are drifting off to sleep at night and just as you are waking up in the morning. But the night is the most powerful time for the conscious creator. If you take only one thing from this lecture, let it be this instruction. Do not waste the moments before sleep. Most people use this time to worry. They use the holy hour of creation to visualize their problems, to replay their arguments, to calculate their debts. They are unknowingly programming their subconscious to produce more of the same. You must stop this. Tonight, you will do differently. Tonight, you will enter the state akin to sleep with purpose. Here is exactly how you must do it. You lie flat on your back or in a position where you will not be disturbed. You relax your body completely. You must immobilize the physical form. This is crucial. As long as you are moving physically, your energy is tied to the outer world. You must be still. Relax your scalp, your face, your neck, your shoulders, all the way down to your feet. Feel your body becoming heavy, so heavy that you could not move it if you wanted to. You are inducing a state of drowsiness. You are floating on the border between wakefulness and sleep. You are in control of your thoughts, but your body is dormant. In this magical state, you bring before your mind's eye a single, short scene that implies that your desire is already accomplished. Notice I said a single, short scene. Do not create a long movie with a complex plot. The mind will wander. Keep it simple. Perhaps it is shaking the hand of a colleague who is congratulating you on your new position. Perhaps it is holding a physical object that implies you are now living in your dream home, like a key. Perhaps it is feeling the wedding ring on your finger. Whatever the scene is, it must imply fulfillment. It must be a scene that naturally follows the granting of your wish. Now, here is the secret. You do not just see the scene, you enter it. You must step into the picture. You are not a spectator watching yourself on a screen. You are the actor living the moment. Look through your own eyes. See the face of the friend. Feel the grip of their hand. Is it firm? Is it warm? Hear the tone of their voice. Smell the air of the room. Engage all your spiritual senses. And then repeat this action. Shake the hand, hear the words, and then loop it. Go back to the beginning and do it again. Shake the hand, hear the words, do it again and again. You are like a needle on a record, grooving this new reality into the substance of your mind. As you loop this scene, you must summon the feeling. What is the dominant feeling of the wish fulfilled? It is almost always relief. It is the deep exhale of the soul that says, "Thank God, it is done." It is a quiet satisfaction. It is not manic excitement, it is settled peace. Bathe the scene in this feeling of relief. Continue this looping process as you drift deeper and deeper into the dark waters of sleep. Do not stop. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the handshake, back to the ring, back to the key. Your goal is to fall asleep in the very act of performing this imaginary drama. You want the last waking moment of your day to be the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Why? Because the feeling you carry into sleep dominates your subconscious for the next 8 hours. While you are sleeping, your subconscious is hard at work arranging the events of tomorrow based on the blueprint you gave it as you fell asleep. If you fall asleep worried, you are commanding the universe to give you things to worry about. If you fall asleep in the assumption of victory, you are commanding the universe to pave the way for your success. This is the act of spiritual impregnation. You are impregnating the womb of the subconscious with the seed of your desire. Once the seed is planted, you do not need to help it grow. You do not need to force it. The deeper mind has ways you know not of. It has connections you cannot see. It has the power to move mountains, to bring that seed to harvest. But the seed must be planted, and it must be planted with the intensity of sensory vividness and the authority of feeling. This is your work. This is your nightly discipline. It is simple, but it is not easy. It requires the ability to command your attention. It requires the will to turn away from the senses and trust the unseen. But the rewards are beyond measure. When you master Sats, you become the master of your destiny. You are no longer a cork bobbing on the ocean of fate. You are the captain of the ship, and the rudder is your imagination. Do not take this lightly. Do not try it once and say it does not work. You must persist. You must do it tonight and tomorrow night and the night after, until the scene feels so natural that you wake up surprised that you are not there yet. And eventually, that surprise will vanish, because the 3D world will dissolve and reassemble itself to match your dream. This is the promise of the fourth dimension. This is the power of revision. This is the gift of the state akin to sleep. Use these tools. They were given to you by the divine intelligence that breathes your breath. They are your birthright. Do not leave them rusting in the corner of your mind while you struggle with your bare hands. Pick them up, use them, and build a life that is worthy of the greatness that lives within you. We now arrive at the most treacherous yet magnificent part of the journey, which is the unfolding of your desire in the physical world. You have planted the seed in the silence of the night, and you have pruned the weeds of the past, but now you must walk through the time between the sowing and the harvest. This is where the majority of seekers lose their way, because they do not understand the mechanics of the bridge of incidence. When you enter the state of the wish fulfilled, when you successfully impregnate your subconscious mind with the feeling of your new reality, you initiate a series of events that will lead you to your goal. We call this the bridge of incidence. You must understand that you do not build this bridge, you walk across it. The divine intelligence that accepted your seed knows exactly what needs to happen, who you need to meet, and where you need to go to bring your desire to pass. It possesses a wisdom and a perspective that is far above your conscious reasoning. The mistake most people make is trying to dictate the how. They assume that because they imagined wealth, they must win the lottery or find a bag of money on the street. They try to force the means. But the bridge of incidence is often constructed of events that you would never consciously choose. You might imagine yourself in a new career, and the very next week you are fired from your current job. The uninitiated mind panics. It screams that the law has failed. It cries out that things are getting worse. But the awakened mind understands that this is the bridge. To get to the new career, you had to be released from the old one. The firing was not a tragedy. It was a necessary step in the orchestration of your victory. This is why I tell you not to judge the events of the day by the limited view of your senses. You are walking across a bridge that you cannot see the end of. But if you remain faithful to the end, the bridge will hold you. People from your past may suddenly reappear. Strangers may offer you advice that leads to a breakthrough. You may feel a sudden compulsion to go to a specific place or read a specific book. Follow these nudges, but do not force them. The bridge of incidence is natural. It does not feel like a struggle. It feels like a flowing river. Your only job is to remain in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let the bridge appear beneath your feet step by step. If you try to control the how, you are effectively telling the universe that you do not trust it. You are digging up the seed to see if it is growing, and in doing so, you kill it. You must have the courage to trust the invisible architect. You must have the courage to walk through uncertainty, knowing that the uncertainty is only in the surface appearances, while underneath, a perfect order is carrying you toward your destination. This requires a suspension of your logical, analytical mind, which always wants to know the safety of the path before it takes a step. But faith is taking the step because you know the destination is already secured in consciousness. As you walk this bridge, you will inevitably encounter resistance. This brings us to the profound spiritual metaphor of sleeping in the storm. You remember the story of the disciples on the boat, panicked by the wind and the waves, while the master slept peacefully in the stern. This is not just a story about a man 2,000 years ago. It is a story about you right now. The boat is your life. The sea is the collective human consciousness, which is often turbulent and chaotic. The storm represents the facts of life that seem to contradict your desire. The debt collector's calling, the medical diagnosis, the rumors of war, the rejection letters, these are the winds and the waves. The disciples represent your fearful, reactive intellect that looks at the storm and screams, "We are going to perish." But the master sleeping in the boat represents your awakened imagination, your true identity, which knows its own power. Why was he sleeping? He was not sleeping because he was indifferent. He was sleeping because he was in a state of absolute trust. He knew that the storm did not have the authority to destroy him because he had already seen the other side. To sleep in the storm means to maintain your inner peace when all hell breaks loose on the outside. When you dare to change your concept of self, the old world will often fight back. It is a chemicalization. The old energies are being purged to make room for the new. You may find that as you affirm abundance, a sudden expense arises. As you affirm health, a symptom flares up. This is the storm. Most people look at the storm and say, "I must be doing it wrong," and they abandon the ship. They go back to their old state because it feels safer, even though it is miserable. But you must not collapse. You must stand in the stern of your boat and sleep. To sleep here means to rest in the assumption that it is done regardless of what the waves are doing. It is the ultimate act of defiance against the tyranny of facts. You look at the bank account and you deny its finality. You look at the problem and you withdraw your attention from its power to hurt you. You say to the storm, "Peace, be still." But you cannot say it with your mouth if you do not feel it in your soul. Your inner authority must be greater than the outer pressure. If you panic, you join the storm. If you remain still, you quell the storm. This is the test of the bridge. Can you hold the posture of the winner when it looks like you are losing? Can you remain faithful to the unseen reality when the seen reality is mocking you? If you can, you are the master. If you can, the winds must cease and the sea must calm, for the outer world has no will of its own. It is a slave to the state of consciousness that is dominant in the situation. Be the dominant state. Be the calm in the chaos. This leads us to the immutable law that governs all manifestation. State first, evidence second. This is the reversal of human logic. The world teaches you that seeing is believing. The law teaches you that believing is seeing. You cannot demand the evidence before you offer the state. That is like standing in front of a wood stove and saying, "Give me heat and then I will put in the wood." It does not work that way. You must put in the wood of your imagination. You must light the fire of your feeling, and only then will the heat of the physical result radiate into your world. This is a hard discipline because your senses are always screaming for proof. They want to know, where is it? When is it coming? Why isn't it here yet? The moment you look for the evidence, you have stepped out of the state of having it and back into the state of wanting it. To look for it implies you do not have it. If you held a diamond in your hand, would you look for it? No. You would enjoy it. You would feel its weight. You would admire its brilliance. You would put it in your pocket and walk with the assurance of a person who possesses a diamond. So, when I say state first, I mean you must occupy the state of the wish fulfilled so completely that you no longer look for the external confirmation to validate you. The internal confirmation is enough. You walk through your day feeling the reality of your success so intensely that the lack of physical evidence is annoying perhaps, but not fatal. You treat the lack of evidence as a temporary illusion, a lie that the world is telling, while you hold the truth in your heart. You must be stubborn about this. You must be obstinate in your loyalty to the unseen. The world will call you delusional. Let them. The world called every great inventor, every great leader, every great artist delusional until they produced the evidence. And then the world called them geniuses. The difference between a delusion and a genius is that the genius persisted in the state until the evidence caught up. You must hold the state. You must return to it every time you fall out. You must wear it until it fits you like a glove. And as you do, the law of projection guarantees that the evidence will appear. It will not appear to prove you right. It will appear because it is you. The evidence is just the shadow cast by your state of consciousness. Change the object and the shadow changes. Maintain the object and the shadow remains. Stop chasing the shadow and become the object. Be the thing itself in consciousness. And finally, how do you know when you have truly succeeded in this inner work? You will reach a state we call the Sabbath. The Sabbath is not a day of the week. It is a state of mental rest. It is the deep psychological release that comes when you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the pregnancy is complete. When a woman is pregnant, she does not ask every day, "Am I pregnant?" She knows. She feels the life inside her. She waits for the birth, not with anxiety, but with expectancy. She prepares the nursery, she buys the clothes, she acts in accordance with the inevitable arrival of the child. The spiritual Sabbath is the same. There comes a moment in your imaginal work when you feel a sudden drop in desire. You are no longer hungry for the thing you wanted. This can be confusing at first. You might think you have lost interest, but you have not lost interest. You have gained possession. You are no longer hungry because you have been fed. You have fed yourself the reality of the wish in the fourth dimension, and you are full. This sense of fullness, this feeling of it is done, is the Sabbath. In the Sabbath, you are not anxious. You are not striving. You are not trying to use techniques to force the result. You do not need to visualize anymore because the visualization has solidified into a knowing. You feel a sense of impotence, but it is a creative impotence. It is the feeling that there is nothing more to do because the seed has been planted and the harvest is guaranteed. If you are still frantically doing techniques, if you are still worrying about the result, you have not entered the Sabbath. You are still trying to conceive, but when you have conceived, you rest. You go about your life with a quiet confidence. You do not worry about the bridge of incidents. You do not worry about the storm. You know that the child must be born. The desire must objectify. This mental rest is the clearest sign that you have successfully operated the law. It is the peace that passes understanding. So, strive to enter this rest. Do your imaginal work with such intensity and such love that you reach the point of satisfaction. Reach the point where you can say, "Thank you, Father," and mean it. When you are in the Sabbath, you are untouchable. The delays do not bother you. The naysayers do not trigger you. You smile at the world with the secret knowledge of the king who knows his coronation is scheduled. You are just waiting for the date. This is the posture of the winner. The winner does not run around the track after the race is won. The winner stands on the podium and waits for the anthem. Enter your Sabbath. Trust your seed. Walk the bridge with your head held high. And let the unfolding of your magnificent life be a testament to the power of the God who sleeps and wakes within you. We have traveled a long distance together in this hour, from the posture of your consciousness to the revision of your past and across the bridge of incidents. And now we stand at the threshold of the ultimate question. It is the question that haunts every human heart in the middle of the night, and the question that, once answered, breaks the chains of every limitation you have ever known. Who are you really? I am not asking for the name on your birth certificate or the job title printed on your business card. I am not asking about your family history or the story of your successes and failures. Those are the garments you wear. They are the costumes of the role you are currently playing. But who is the actor? Who is the being behind the mask? If you strip away the body, strip away the bank account, strip away the relationships, and strip away the memory of the past, what remains? What is left is a silent, formless, timeless presence that simply says, "I am." This presence is not a byproduct of your brain. It is the fundamental reality of the universe. It is the creative power of God individualized as you. You are not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. You are the operant power of the cosmos, dreaming that it is a person. This is why you cannot fail. You can only sleep. And the purpose of all your struggles, all your desires, and all your heartbreaks is simply to shake you awake to the realization that you are the author of the play. When you realize that you are the imagination itself, fear dissolves. Fear only exists when you think you are the little body fighting against a big world. But when you know you are the consciousness that contains the world, who is there to fear? You are the container. You are the space in which the stars and the mountains and the problems and the solutions exist. This realization is the victory. It is not about getting the car or the house or the money. Those are toys. The victory is finding the dreamer. Because once you find the dreamer, you can dream any dream you wish. You are no longer the victim of your nightmares. You are the master of your vision. So I ask you to stand in this identity. Do not let the world define you by your past. The world sees the mask. You must know the actor. The actor can change the script. The actor can change the costume. The actor can walk off the stage of poverty and walk onto the stage of wealth in the blink of an eye, because the actor is not bound by the role. You are the actor. You are the divine imagination. Honor this self. Worship this self, not with vanity, but with reverence. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. Do not take that name in vain by adding sick or poor or weak after it. Honor the name. Say I am wealthy. Say I am healthy. Say I am loved. And say it until you feel the ancient power of your own being rising to meet the claim. As you settle into this true identity, you begin to generate what I call the gravity of the wish fulfilled. We often think of attraction as an active, desperate pulling, like a child trying to grab a kite string. But true power does not grab. True power attracts through gravity. Think of the sun. The sun does not chase the planets. The sun does not beg the earth to orbit it. The sun simply stands in its own mass, in its own fire, in its own center. And because of who it is, because of its immense gravity, the planets have no choice but to revolve around it. This is the secret of the awakened mind. When you are unstable, when you are running from technique to technique, when you are worried and anxious, you have no gravity. You are like a leaf blowing in the wind. But when you enter the state of the wish fulfilled, and you stay there, when you reach the Sabbath of mental rest, you become massive in the spiritual world. You develop a center of gravity. You become the sun of your own solar system. And suddenly, the people, the opportunities, and the resources you need begin to orbit you. They come to you. You do not go to them. This is what it means to be attractive. It is not about physical beauty. It is about spiritual mass. This gravity is felt by everyone who comes into contact with you. They may not know why, but they will feel safer around you. They will feel that you are a person of substance. They will trust you. They will want to help you. It is because you have stopped fighting yourself. A mind at peace with itself is a magnet for good. A mind that is settled in the knowledge of its own success is irresistible. This is how you win without fighting. You win by becoming so heavy with the feeling of your desire that the world falls into your orbit. So ask yourself today, where is my center? Am I orbiting my problems? Or are my problems dissolving in my presence? Am I chasing the world? Or am I letting the world come to me? Stop the chasing. Stand still. Increase your mass by increasing your conviction. Let the feeling of it is done add weight to your soul. The heavier you are in faith, the less you can be moved by the winds of circumstance. Be the rock, be the center, be the sun, and watch how the universe reorganizes itself around your stability. This is the physics of the spirit. It never fails. The one who holds the state with the most conviction always wins the day. And now, we stand at a crossroads. You have heard the truth. You have felt the resonance of it in your bones. But knowledge alone is not power. Knowledge applied is power. You have a choice to make. You can close this video and go back to the sleep of the world. You can go back to complaining, back to reacting, back to begging life for a break. That is the easy road, the wide road that leads to nowhere. Or you can choose the narrow path, the path of the conscious creator, the path of the one who takes full responsibility for their world. This path is not for the faint of heart. It requires discipline. It requires the courage to trust the unseen. But it is the only path that leads to freedom. We are building a battalion of such souls right here on this channel. We are gathering the awakened ones, the ones who are tired of being victims, the ones who are ready to remember who they are. I am calling you to join us. I am calling you to stand up and be counted among the lucid dreamers of this world. If you are ready to make this commitment, if you are ready to apply these laws and transform your life, then I invite you to subscribe to this community. Do not do it for me. Do it for yourself. Do it as a pledge to your own higher self that you are serious about this work. Every time you see a video from this channel, let it be a reminder of who you are. Let it be a bell that wakes you from the trance of limitation. We are walking this bridge together. You are not alone. There are thousands of us all over the world waking up, remembering, and reclaiming our power. Join us. Share this message with someone who needs it. Be a light in a dark world. The more of us who awaken, the brighter the world becomes. Your awakening is not just for you, it is a service to humanity. Because when one person wakes up, the whole dream begins to shift. So click that button, not as a digital action, but as a spiritual declaration. Say to yourself as you do it that I am entering the ranks of the awakened. I am done with sleep. I am ready to live. As we bring this lecture to its close, I want to leave you with a phrase that has echoed through the corridors of eternity. It is the final word of the Creator. It is the seal of the promise. It is done. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not come back the next day and worry if it will grow. You know it is done. The nature of the seed and the nature of the soil guarantee the harvest. Your imagination is the seed. Your consciousness is the soil. And the moment you successfully feel the state of the wish fulfilled, the moment you accept it as true in the silence of your soul, it is done. It does not matter what the calendar says. It does not matter what the bank says. It does not matter what the critics say. In the fourth dimension, in the realm of causes, the act is complete. And because it is complete there, it must become visible here. This is your anchor. When doubt rises, tell it that it is done. When fear knocks, tell it that it is done. When the time seems long and the night seems dark, whisper to your heart that it is done. Carry this phrase like a shield. Let it protect your dream from the arrows of the world. You do not need to struggle anymore. You do not need to strain. You only need to remain faithful to the finished work. Walk out of this hour and into your life with the air of someone who has already won. Smile at the future because you have already seen it. Walk with dignity, walk with grace, and walk with the absolute assurance that the God in you has heard your prayer and has already answered it. The bridge is built, the way is clear, the victory is yours. Act like you were meant to win because you were. You were made for this. You are ready for this. And now, in the silence of this moment, let the truth settle. Let the old man die and the new man rise. The play is yours to write. The stage is yours to command. Go forth and create a masterpiece. Be still and know that I am. It is finished. It is done.